things. I rented a room at this place called the Women's Department Club in Childress, Texas. And I held a meeting. I don't remember how many people were there. There might have been a maximum probably of 100 people or something like that. And I taught on these exact things. And then I said, all right, we're going to demonstrate it, that God has already done it. And if you haven't seen your healing manifest, it's not God who hasn't given, it's us that are having trouble receiving. And so after I'd preached on this, I said, now we're going to have show and tell. We're going to demonstrate this. And I said, who in here is sick or has some need? And there was a 17-year-old boy who came forward. And this boy was blind in one eye and couldn't even see light out of that eye. And so he asked for prayer. So I prayed for him. I took my authority. I rebuked all of these things, commanded sight to come. And after I'd prayed my best prayer, I asked him to cover up his good eye and look through his bad eye and asked if he could see me. I had my fingers up. I said, how many fingers do I have up? And he was not even able to see a light. He was totally blind in that eye. And he couldn't see a thing. And I actually had to turn his head with my other hand and point it towards my fingers because he was even looking in the wrong direction. So it looked like nothing had happened. But I said, I know that what I'm teaching is true. I know that God has already done it. And if we don't see the manifestation, it's not God who hasn't given, it's us who haven't received. And I said, we're going to work on our receiver. And so I dismissed the people. And I said, if you've got someplace to go, if you're ready to go, if you have any doubt, any fear about this, leave. But if you want to stand, if you believe that God has already done this, and we can command the power of God, not in the sense that I'm forcing God to do something against His will, but I'm just enforcing what He's already chosen to do. I said, if you want to stand and then agree with me like that way, well then stay and pray. And there was maybe 20 or 25 people who stayed, and we started praying for this boy. And we prayed for a long time. I think it was probably 30 minutes or less, but it seemed like forever. And every few minutes, every 5 minutes or so, I'd stop and I'd say, now cover up your good eye and look through your bad eye, and what can you see? And he couldn't see a thing. And so it was discouraging, and people were beginning to wonder about, does this really work? And so I was praying in tongues and asking God to just show me. I said, I know that you have already provided this healing. You aren't the problem. The problem is with us. What are we doing? What do we need to do to receive? And as I was praying and asking God to show me, I just had this thought come to me that He doesn't need a healing, He needs a miracle. And at that time, this is back in 1976, I had never had that thought cross my mind that there was a difference between a healing and a miracle. And I still don't claim that I fully understand this, but as I was mulling that over and thinking about it and saying, is this God? Is this the problem that we need to believe for a miracle instead of a healing? As I was thinking about that, Don Crow, who was my associate pastor, and he was with me there, he interrupted and he says, God just spoke to me and said He doesn't need a healing, He needs a miracle. I mean, it was exactly what God spoke to me. So I took that as confirmation, and I just stopped everybody from praying. I said, so tell us, what's wrong with your eye? And this boy said that when he was a little baby, he had an infection in his eye, and they went in and surgically removed the lens and the retina from his eye. He says, I don't even have the parts of my eye that I need in order to be able to see. And so when I heard that, I said, man, you don't need a healing, you need a miracle. You need God to supernaturally create and put parts of your eye back in there. So we closed our eyes and started praying again, and we started speaking and commanding Isaiah 45:11 concerning the works of my hands, command ye me. We started commanding a lens and a retina. And I remember cupping my hands like this and putting them over his eye and speaking and saying, I command a lens and a retina to come into this eye now in the name of Jesus. And then I had him cover up his good eye and look with his bad eye and tell me how many fingers I had up. And he said 1 and 2, and whatever I did, he could see, and his sight came. Now, I still don't completely understand all of the difference, but I'm saying that it wasn't God who didn't want him healed, that didn't release His power. It was us that was releasing it in the wrong direction, in the wrong way. Whatever happens, if you aren't seeing the miraculous power of God in your life, and if it's something that Jesus provided for us, such as healing, such as prosperity, such as joy and peace, and on you go. If it's something that Jesus provided by grace, then it's up to us to take our faith and just reach out and receive what God has done. Instead of coming as a beggar and saying, oh God, I am nothing, I have nothing, I can do nothing. You have to take your authority and say, no, Jesus has already done it. I've already got it. Jesus has already provided it. And now I am standing here, and not in arrogance, not in ways of saying that I'm bigger than God, that I can force God to do something. Man, it doesn't have anything to do with that. But you're just saying, I believe that God has provided. As much as I believe that the electric company has provided the electricity, and all I've got to do is go over there and flip that switch and the lights will come on. In the same way, I believe that God has provided healing, and He has given me the authority and power. And so I am releasing this power right now. I command this to happen.